If you wait until you're ready, you'll be waiting for the rest of your life. That's the trap most people fall into. They think they need more time, more knowledge, more confidence before they start. But here's the truth. Nobody feels ready in the beginning. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't. Successful people start anyway. Think about it. How many times have you told yourself, I'll start when I'm more prepared, or maybe next month, only to realize months or even years have passed and nothing has changed? That's what hesitation does. It keeps you stuck. It steals time. But today we're going to break that mindset, because action is what builds confidence. Action is what creates success. Not waiting, not overthinking, but doing. Even when you're unsure, even when you're afraid. So if you've been putting something off, if you've been waiting for the right time, this message is for you. It's time to move. Let's get into it. Number one, the biggest lie. I'll start when I'm ready. Most people spend their whole lives waiting for the right moment, waiting for the right skills, waiting for the right mindset. They tell themselves, I'll start when I'm ready. And that single thought destroys their potential, because the truth is, you will never feel ready. Read that again. You will never wake up one day and suddenly feel like all your doubts are gone. You will never have a moment where fear disappears and confidence magically takes over. It doesn't happen that way. It never has. If you're waiting to feel ready before you start, you're delaying your own success. And the longer you wait, the harder it gets to take action. Because the habit of waiting turns into a lifetime of regrets. How many times have you told yourself, not yet, I need more time? And how many times did that lead to action? Be honest. It never does. Instead, weeks turn into months, months turn into years, and before you know it, the opportunity is gone, the dream is gone. People wait because they think readiness is a feeling. It's not. Readiness comes from action. It comes from starting. It comes from stepping into the unknown. Even when you're scared. Even when you doubt yourself. Even when every part of you wants to wait just a little longer. If you always wait for the right time, you will never start. Because the right time is something you create, not something you wait for. Look at your own life. Think about something you wanted to do but kept putting off. Maybe it was a business idea. Maybe it was a fitness goal. Maybe it was learning a new skill. Whatever it was, ask yourself, why didn't you start? Was it because you truly weren't ready? Or was it because you were afraid of failing, afraid of looking foolish, afraid of stepping outside your comfort zone? That's what stops most people. Not lack of readiness, but fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of uncertainty. And if you don't break free from that, it will control your life. Think about this. Every successful person you admire, every person who changed their life, every person who achieved something great, they all started before they were ready. They didn't wait. They didn't sit around hoping for confidence to appear. They took action, and that's what made them ready. If you want to change your life, stop waiting for a feeling that will never come. You don't need to be ready. You just need to start. Most people don't realize that the biggest breakthroughs come when you take action despite feeling unprepared. Because when you push yourself into action, something incredible happens. You adapt. You learn. You figure things out along the way. And that's how growth happens. Imagine if a baby refused to take its first steps because it didn't feel ready. It would never learn to walk. But that's not how life works. You learn by doing. You grow by trying. You gain confidence through experience. The people who succeed in life aren't the ones who had the perfect plan. They're the ones who took the first step before they had everything figured out. They started messy. They started scared, but they started. And that's why they won. Right now, there's something in your life that you've been postponing. You know exactly what it is. It's that one thing you've been telling yourself you'll do someday. That one goal you've been thinking about for months, maybe even years, and yet you haven't moved. Why? Because deep down, you're waiting for permission. You're waiting for some invisible signal to tell you it's time. But here's the reality. No one is going to give you permission. No one is going to come into your life and say, okay, now you're ready. You have to decide. You have to choose yourself. Every time you delay, every time you say not yet, every time you tell yourself you need more time, you are letting fear win. You are choosing inaction. You are allowing another day to pass without progress. And the painful truth, time doesn't wait for anyone. It keeps moving whether you act or not. And one day you'll look back and wish you had started sooner. Do you want to know the most common regret people have in life? It's not the things they did, it's the things they didn't do. The opportunities they missed, the chances they didn't take, the dreams they let slip away because they kept waiting for the right time. Don't let that be you. There is no perfect time. There is no moment where everything aligns perfectly. There is only now. And the sooner you start, the sooner you'll see progress, the sooner you'll grow, the sooner you'll realize that readiness was never the problem, it was inaction. So whatever it is you've been putting off, whatever goal, whatever dream, whatever change you've been waiting to make, start now. Do it while you're scared. Do it while you're uncertain. Do it while every part of you wants to wait just a little longer. Because once you start, everything changes. And a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you will look back and thank yourself for taking action today. Number 2, the only way to learn is by doing. The only way to truly learn is by doing. You can read books, watch videos, attend seminars, and listen to all the advice in the world, but none of that will make a real difference unless you take action. Learning isn't something that happens just in your head. It's something that happens when you roll up your sleeves and get your hands dirty. If you've ever found yourself stuck in a cycle of preparing for something without actually starting, you know exactly what I mean. The preparation phase can feel productive. You might feel like you're getting ready, you're planning, you're figuring everything out, and yet you're still standing still. You're still on the sidelines. And your dream is just that, a dream, nothing more. You're not learning, you're not growing, and the only way to change that is to take action. Let's be honest, if you're constantly telling yourself that you're going to start something when you're ready, you're never going to start. That's the lie most of us tell ourselves. It's easier to think we need more information, more time, or more resources before we take that first step. But the reality is that you learn and grow in the doing. And the sooner you embrace that fact, the sooner you can begin making real progress in your life. Think about any skill you've ever learned, whether it was something big or small. Can you remember how much time you spent trying to figure it out before you actually did it? Maybe you spent hours reading about how to play guitar before you strummed your first chord. Or you spent days watching cooking tutorials before you actually stepped into the kitchen and tried to make that recipe. But here's the thing. It was only when you actually tried it, when you made mistakes, when you struggled, that you really started to learn. That's how learning works. It's messy, it's uncomfortable, but that's where the growth happens. If you want to get better at anything, whether it's a new skill, a business, a relationship, or even personal growth, the only way to truly learn is to jump in and start doing. No more waiting for the perfect moment or the perfect conditions. Those never come. What matters is that you start. Every step you take, every little action you make, teaches you something new, even if it's just what doesn't work. Every failure you face is a lesson. Every mistake is an opportunity to improve. And all those little steps forward, no matter how small, add up over time. When you're trying to learn something new, the best thing you can do is embrace the discomfort of not knowing. It's easy to want to have all the answers up front, but that's not how growth works. You learn by doing and you learn by failing. The more you do, the more you'll figure out. The more you put yourself in real situations, the faster you'll improve. You can't learn how to ride a bike by reading about it. You can't get good at playing the piano by watching other people play. You can't learn how to build a business by reading about entrepreneurship. You learn by doing. And here's the thing. The sooner you stop making excuses about not being ready, the sooner you can stop wasting time and actually start learning. It's easy to get caught in that loop of thinking, if I just learn a little more, then I'll start. But that's the trap. Because no matter how much information you have, it's not until you start applying it that you'll see results. You could spend a year reading every book on personal development, but that won't help you change your life. Taking action is the only way to make real progress. It's easy to get stuck in your head thinking about all the things you should be doing, all the ways you could be improving, all the things you ought to know before you get started. But all that thinking doesn't lead to growth. Action does. If you're waiting for everything to be perfect, you'll never start. So why wait? Jump in. You'll learn as you go. You'll make mistakes, but those mistakes will teach you. They'll show you what works and what doesn't, and that's exactly what you need to succeed. I've seen it happen with people over and over again. They spend years trying to prepare themselves for success, thinking they need to learn more or do more research, but then they realize that the real learning happens when they finally take action. The act of doing forces you to grow. It forces you to problem solve, to adjust, and to learn from your experiences. And the more you do, the more you learn, and the better you become at whatever it is you're trying to master. Think about the people who inspire you, the ones who seem to have it all together. They weren't born knowing everything. They didn't wait until they were perfectly ready. They learned as they went. They made mistakes, and those mistakes became the foundation of their success. They didn't wait to feel confident. They didn't wait for permission. They just did it. And that's why they're successful. Learning is a journey. It's a process. It doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen by reading or studying alone. The real learning happens when you put in the work, when you go through the grind, when you face challenges head on, when you stop making excuses and start making moves. That's when you grow. That's when you start seeing results. You're never going to be 100% ready. No one ever is. The key is to start before you feel ready. It's to take the first step, even if you're unsure. It's to stop waiting for the right time or the right circumstances. There will never be a perfect moment. There will always be something else to learn, something else to consider, something else to prepare for. But none of that matters if you don't take action. The moment you start, you'll begin learning, and as you learn, you'll get better. It's that simple. And the more you do, the more you'll realize that you're capable of more than you ever imagined. So stop waiting, stop overthinking, start doing. That's the only way to truly learn and to achieve the success you're after. The only way to move forward is to stop preparing and start doing. You'll thank yourself later. Number 3, success comes from action, not just knowledge. Success isn't about what you know, it's about what you do. The world is full of people who have all the knowledge, all the answers, and yet they're still stuck. Why? Because knowing something doesn't mean you're going to get the results you want. Action is the real key. Knowledge is just the starting point, it's the fuel. But without the engine of action, you're not going anywhere. You see, there's a trap we all fall into at some point. We think that if we just gather enough information, if we just learn everything there is to know about a subject, we'll automatically be successful. We tell ourselves, once I read that book, take that course, or listen to that podcast, I'll be ready. But here's the hard truth. You can have all the knowledge in the world, but without action, it's worthless knowledge. Knowledge is power, yes, but it's potential power. It's a resource you have to tap into by actually applying it. Think about it. You've probably come across people in your life who are incredibly knowledgeable. They have degrees, certifications, and an impressive collection of books, but when it comes to actually executing on their ideas, they freeze. They've gathered all this information, yet nothing's happening. Why? Because they're not doing anything with it. They're caught up in what they know, but not in what they can do with that knowledge. Now, I'm not saying knowledge doesn't matter. It does, of course. It's important to know what you're doing. You need to understand the basics, the principles, and the strategies, but knowledge is only part of the equation. The real magic happens when you take what you know and put it into action. Think about anyone who's achieved something remarkable. What did they do differently? They acted. They didn't sit around waiting for more knowledge to make them feel more confident. They took what they had and used it. They learned by doing, and they adapted along the way. It's through taking action that they found success, not through endlessly accumulating information. Imagine someone who wants to start a business. They can spend months, maybe even years, reading books on entrepreneurship, watching videos, attending seminars. They'll learn everything there is to know about marketing, sales, finances, customer service. But if they never actually launch their business, what good is all that knowledge? The real learning comes when you take that first step, when you apply what you've learned and start testing it in the real world. It's through the challenges, the obstacles, and the failures that you learn the most. Success doesn't come from knowing everything. It comes from doing what you know, learning from the results, and adjusting accordingly. You've got to stop waiting for the perfect moment to act. You can't wait until you feel like you know everything, because that moment will never come. Success is built by taking imperfect action, by making mistakes, and by learning from those mistakes. No one is ever fully prepared, but they don't wait for preparation to be perfect. They jump in and start working with what they've got. Action creates momentum, and momentum leads to progress. You'll never know what works until you try. Think about the last time you achieved something you were really proud of. Chances are, you didn't have all the answers going in. You probably didn't have everything figured out, but you started anyway. You took that first step, you made it up as you went along, and you adjusted when things didn't go as planned. That's how success happens. Through trial and error, through persistence, and through the ability to keep moving forward, even when it's not perfect. Another thing to consider is that action opens up new opportunities that knowledge alone can't. When you start acting, when you get into motion, you begin to encounter situations and people that you never would have if you stayed in your head, researching and planning endlessly. The world opens up to you in ways that you can't predict when you take the leap. New challenges arise, yes, but so do new possibilities. By doing, you expose yourself to the kind of experience that knowledge alone can't give you. Here's something else to keep in mind. You're not going to learn everything the first time you try. In fact, the first time you take action, you're probably going to make mistakes. That's part of the process. But each mistake, each failure will teach you something you couldn't have learned by sitting on the sidelines. You'll adjust, you'll tweak, and you'll keep going. And as you go, you'll get better. The more you act, the better you'll become. The key is to keep moving forward, even when you don't feel ready. Some of the most successful people in the world didn't have all the knowledge before they got started. They didn't have all the resources they needed, but they had the willingness to take action. They weren't waiting for everything to be perfect, and that's why they succeeded. They started with what they had and learned along the way. And guess what? So can you. You don't need to know it all. You don't need to wait for the perfect moment. You just need to start with what you have, learn from what happens, and keep going. You've got to stop letting your need for knowledge hold you back. Yes, learning is important, but it's not enough on its own. Knowledge is useless if it doesn't drive you to take action. You have to stop reading, stop planning, and start doing. The longer you wait to take action, the longer you delay your success. You'll never feel 100% ready, and that's okay. But if you wait until everything feels right, you'll be waiting forever. I want you to think about what could happen if you stopped waiting and started doing. What if, instead of spending all your time reading and preparing, you started applying the knowledge you already have? What if you started taking those small actions today, knowing that even though you don't have all the answers, the act of doing will help you figure them out? What if you just trusted the process and let action lead you to the success you're chasing? You've got this. You know enough to start. Now it's time to act. The only thing standing between you and your success is taking that first step. And once you take it, you'll learn more, you'll grow more, and you'll get closer to where you want to be. But none of that happens until you take action, so stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop collecting information. Start doing, and watch your success unfold. Number 4, doubt is normal, but it shouldn't stop you. Doubt is normal. It's part of the process. It's not something to be afraid of, not something to be ashamed of. Doubt doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean you're not good enough. It's a natural reaction to stepping outside of your comfort zone and trying something new. It's that voice that tells you, what if this doesn't work? What if I fail? It's there to challenge you. But here's the truth you need to remember. You can't let doubt stop you. The reality is every single person who has ever achieved anything meaningful has faced doubt. It doesn't matter how successful they are now or how confident they appear. At some point, they were in your shoes, wondering if they were good enough, wondering if they were making the right move. But the difference between those who succeed and those who don't isn't the absence of doubt. It's what they choose to do with it. The key to success isn't the absence of doubt. It's learning how to push through it, how to keep going, even when that little voice is telling you to turn back. You're going to feel doubt. It's inevitable. It's part of growth. Think about it for a second. Every time you push yourself to try something new, there's a risk. And whenever there's risk, there's uncertainty. You don't know exactly how things will turn out, and that's scary. But guess what? The fear of not knowing is what holds most people back from taking action, from stepping up and reaching for their dreams. They get caught in the trap of what if thinking, and they let that doubt freeze them in place. And let me tell you, if you let doubt control you, if you let it make your decisions for you, you'll never know what's on the other side of that fear. You'll never discover what you're capable of. Now, let's be real for a minute. Doubt is a powerful thing. It can make you question your abilities, your decisions, and even your worth. But here's something you need to understand. Doubt is simply a feeling, it's not a fact. Feelings are temporary, they come and go, and they often don't reflect the reality of the situation. Just because you feel doubt doesn't mean you're failing or that you're not on the right path. It just means you're human. It means you're doing something that matters. If you weren't feeling some doubt, you wouldn't be pushing yourself hard enough. So instead of seeing doubt as a sign that you should stop, see it as a sign that you're on the right track. Let me tell you this, the most successful people are the ones who feel the fear, the doubt, and the uncertainty, but they do it anyway. They push through and they keep moving forward. They don't wait for doubt to disappear. They don't wait for the perfect moment when everything feels right. They act in spite of the doubt. And that's why they succeed. Action despite doubt is what separates the dreamers from the doers. Now, I know it's easier said than done, right? It's one thing to talk about pushing through doubt, and it's another to actually do it. But here's the thing. The more you face your doubts head on, the easier it gets. The first time you do something that scares you, you'll feel that wave of uncertainty. You'll wonder if you're making the right choice. But once you push through it, once you take that first step, you'll realize that you didn't die, the world didn't end, and you actually got stronger. The next time doubt comes around, you'll know what to do. You'll know how to keep going because you've already done it. Every time you push through your doubts, you build more confidence in yourself. You prove to yourself that you are capable. And here's another thing you have to remember. You're not alone in this. Doubt doesn't discriminate. It doesn't matter if you're just starting out or if you've been at this for years. Everyone deals with doubt. The difference is how they handle it. You've probably heard about people like Steve Jobs, Oprah Winfrey, and Elon Musk. These people have faced incredible odds and yes, doubt, but they didn't let it stop them. They chose to act anyway. They chose to trust in themselves and their vision. And that's what made all the difference. What they realized, and what you need to realize, is that the only way to get through doubt is to take action. Here's the kicker. Doubt doesn't go away just because you achieve something. Even the most successful people experience doubt. It's a feeling that comes and goes, and the key is learning how to manage it. The more you take action, the less power doubt has over you. It becomes a passing thought rather than something that holds you back. What you learn through action is that doubt is just a temporary obstacle, and it's not enough to stop you. So what can you do when doubt starts creeping in? First, acknowledge it. Understand that it's normal. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to question yourself, but don't let it paralyze you. Take that doubt and use it as fuel to push forward. Doubt doesn't have to stop you. It can propel you. The moment you realize that doubt is just part of the journey, you stop letting it control you. Instead of being afraid of it, you start seeing it as a sign that you're growing, that you're stretching yourself, and that you're pushing your limits. And here's a secret. The more you do, the less doubt will control you. Action is the antidote to fear. The more you take action, the more you realize that you're capable of handling whatever comes your way. It's like building muscle. The more you lift, the stronger you get. The more you face doubt and move forward anyway, the less power it has over you. You realize that doubt is just a feeling, not a fact, and that you can overcome it by taking the next step. I want you to remember something very important. Your future self is counting on you to push through the doubt. Every time you move forward despite feeling unsure, you're setting yourself up for success. You're building the kind of resilience that will serve you throughout your entire life. Don't let doubt rob you of your potential. Don't let it stop you from reaching for what you deserve. Doubt will always be there, but so will you. And you have the power to decide whether it stops you or if you're going to push through it and keep going. So next time doubt knocks on your door, don't turn away. Don't hide from it, welcome it, face it, and keep moving forward anyway. Because the only thing stronger than doubt is your ability to keep going. Number 5, your comfort zone is your enemy. There's something we all experience in life, and I want you to think about it for a moment. It's that feeling of being comfortable, of being settled into a routine where things are easy, where nothing's too hard and you're just going through the motions. It feels safe, doesn't it? But here's the truth. Your comfort zone is the enemy of your potential. The longer you stay in that bubble, the less you're going to grow. and the harder it will be to achieve anything meaningful. Let's be clear about this. Comfort doesn't help you move forward. Comfort doesn't get you closer to your goals. In fact, comfort keeps you stuck. It's that part of your life where you don't take risks, where you don't challenge yourself, and where things stay the same. And we all know deep down the only way to change your life is to break free from the easy, the familiar, the comfortable, and step into the unknown. That's where the growth happens. Think about it. When was the last time you grew as a person without feeling uncomfortable? When was the last time you stretched yourself without a little bit of fear, a little bit of uncertainty? If you've ever tried to improve yourself, whether that's in your career, your relationships, your health, or anything else, you know that growth doesn't happen in the easy, in the safe, in the comfortable. It happens when you push beyond what you think is possible. It happens when you face challenges head on. Growth requires discomfort, but here's the trick. We are wired to seek comfort. It's a natural part of being human. We want to avoid pain, avoid failure, avoid the unknown. So when we get comfortable, our minds tell us, this is good enough, stay here, don't push further. And that's when things start to slow down. That's when we stop making progress. The danger is we get so used to it that we don't even realize we're stuck. We start to settle for what's familiar, for what's easy, for what we know. And that's where dreams begin to fade. Now, I'm not saying you should live in a constant state of stress or anxiety, always chasing after the next big thing. But what I am saying is, you have to push yourself beyond that comfort zone, little by little, so you can see what you're truly capable of. The discomfort of growth is not something to fear, it's something to embrace. Every time you step outside that comfort zone, even if it's just a little, you're building your confidence. You're showing yourself that you can handle the challenges that come your way, that you can learn new things, that you can grow. If you think about the most successful people you know, whether they're business leaders, athletes, or anyone else who's accomplished something great, I guarantee you they didn't get to where they are by staying comfortable. They got there by pushing themselves to do things they didn't think they could do. They stepped into the unknown, took risks, faced failure, and got back up again. Success doesn't live in your comfort zone. It's out there, beyond it, waiting for you to take that step. You might say to yourself, but it's so hard to get out of my comfort zone. I'm scared of failing. I'm scared of making mistakes, scared of not being good enough. Let me tell you, that's normal. Everyone feels that way. But you know what's scarier than the fear of stepping out? The regret of never trying. The pain of looking back years from now and realizing you played it safe your entire life, never giving yourself the chance to see what you could have achieved. Regret is a far worse feeling than failure. So let's break this down. What does it really mean to step outside of your comfort zone? It means doing something that scares you, taking action even when you don't feel completely ready. It means facing those moments where you feel uncertain and still moving forward. It could be speaking up in a meeting, taking on a new project at work, starting that business you've been thinking about, or getting into shape. It's anything that challenges you to do more, to be more, to learn and grow. And here's the thing. Stepping out of your comfort zone doesn't mean you have to make huge leaps. It's not about jumping off a cliff. It's about taking small steps, one at a time. Each small step builds momentum, and before you know it, you're looking back at a path full of growth and progress. It might feel uncomfortable in the beginning, but that discomfort is the sign of progress. It's your body and mind telling you that you're stretching yourself, that you're becoming stronger. That's what makes it so powerful. One thing to remember is that comfort zones don't just hold you back from achieving your dreams. They also trap you in a mindset that tells you that where you are right now is good enough. But you were made for more than just good enough. You were made to break through barriers, to accomplish great things, and to keep pushing forward, no matter how hard it gets. Think of it like this. Every time you step outside that comfort zone, you're investing in your future self. You're showing your future self that you had the courage to take that leap, that you had the strength to keep going when it wasn't easy. And the more you do that, the more you build that muscle of resilience, that muscle of growth. That's when you start to see real change. Now, don't get me wrong. I know it's not easy. I know there will be times when you'll feel like backing down, when you'll feel like the comfort zone is calling you back in. But I want you to remember this. The discomfort you feel today is the strength you'll have tomorrow. Every time you push yourself out of that bubble, you're getting stronger, more capable, more prepared for the challenges that lie ahead, and soon, the things that once scared you won't scare you anymore. So here's my challenge to you. Take one step today outside of your comfort zone. It doesn't have to be a giant leap, but it has to be a step, whether it's something small or something big. Take it, step into the unknown, take the risk, face the fear, and see how much growth happens on the other side. Because your dreams don't live inside your comfort zone, and the only way to make them a reality is to step out and claim them. You can do it. You were built for it. Number 6, greatness begins the moment you stop waiting. Every single day, countless people find themselves waiting. They wait for the perfect time, the right opportunity, or for everything to be just right before they take that first step. It's almost like they believe there's some magical moment that's going to come along when all the stars align and they'll be fully prepared to go after their dreams. But the truth is, that perfect moment will never come. If you're waiting for everything to fall into place before you start, you'll be waiting forever. And while you're waiting, others are out there moving forward, taking action and making things happen. Greatness doesn't start when you have everything figured out. It doesn't start when you feel completely ready. Greatness begins the moment you stop waiting and start doing. The moment you stop telling yourself, I'll start tomorrow, or I'll start when things are better, is the moment you begin to unlock your potential. If you want to make something of your life, if you want to see real change, you have to take the first step, even if you don't have everything worked out yet. You can't sit around hoping for things to magically fall into place. It's about taking action now, even if it feels uncomfortable or uncertain. The moment you stop waiting is the moment you start moving toward the life you've always wanted. Think about it. How many times have you told yourself that you would start something, whether it was a new project, a fitness goal, or a new career path, only to keep putting it off, waiting for the perfect time? If you're honest with yourself, you know that the perfect time never comes. The longer you wait, the more you convince yourself that you're not ready, that it's not the right time, that you should wait until you know more, until you feel more confident. But the reality is, the longer you wait, the more you delay your own success. It's easy to convince yourself that you're not ready, that you don't have enough information, or that you need more experience. But waiting for the perfect moment is just another form of procrastination. You're standing in your own way, waiting for something that's never going to happen. The longer you wait, the more you build up excuses for why you can't take action. And in doing so, you're robbing yourself of the opportunities that could change your life. Think about the people who have achieved greatness in their lives. They didn't sit around waiting for everything to be perfect. They didn't wait until they had all the answers or until they felt 100% ready. They took action, even when they were scared, even when they didn't have it all figured out. And as they moved forward, they learned, adapted, and grew along the way. The key to success isn't waiting for the right time. It's making the most of the time you have right now. The truth is, no one ever feels completely ready. There will always be doubts. There will always be uncertainty. That's part of the process. It's normal to feel unsure when you're stepping into the unknown. But that's where growth happens. That's where the magic happens. It's when you push through the uncertainty, when you take that leap, even though you're not 100% sure, that you begin to see real change. Let's talk about the power of taking that first step. It's often the hardest part. We get so caught up in our heads, thinking about all the things that could go wrong, worrying about failure, that we end up paralyzed by fear. But once you take that first step, something incredible happens. You gain momentum. You start to see progress, even if it's small at first. Momentum is everything. When you stop waiting and start moving, you begin to build that momentum. And before you know it, you're moving faster than you ever thought possible. And here's something that you need to understand. Your first step doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't matter if it's small, if it's imperfect, or if it doesn't go exactly as planned. The important thing is that you take it. Every successful person you look up to, every person who's achieved greatness in their life had to start somewhere. They didn't start as experts. They didn't start with everything figured out. They started with a decision to act even when they weren't ready. You have to stop waiting for the perfect circumstances. You have to stop waiting until you feel 100% confident, because that confidence only comes through action. The more you wait, the less likely you are to start. The more you put things off, the more doubts will creep in. If you keep waiting for the perfect moment, you'll never get anywhere. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that you need to have everything figured out before you start. But that's just fear holding you back. Action builds confidence. The more you act, the more you learn, the more you grow, and the more prepared you'll be for the challenges that lie ahead. You can't wait for everything to be perfect, because it never will be. The moment you take action, you start creating your own opportunities. Another important thing to remember is that waiting doesn't just hold you back from achieving your goals. It also holds you back from becoming the person you need to be in order to achieve those goals. You learn by doing, not by thinking about doing. You learn by making mistakes, by taking risks, by facing challenges head on. Every time you put yourself out there, every time you take action, you're becoming the person you need to be in order to achieve greatness. So stop waiting. The time to act is now. There's no reason to keep putting off your dreams, your goals, or your potential. Every moment you wait is another moment you lose, and you don't get those moments back. Greatness begins the moment you stop waiting and start doing. Don't wait for the perfect time, the perfect situation, or the perfect moment. Take action right now with what you have, where you are. The moment you decide to act is the moment your future begins to change. Take that first step today and watch how everything starts to shift. Your life is waiting for you to make the move. Stop waiting for the perfect moment, because it's never going to come. Start now, and greatness will follow. Number 7, small steps beat endless planning. There's something about us that loves to plan. We love the idea of getting everything in order, mapping out every detail, and making sure we know exactly what we're doing before we even take the first step. And honestly, that's not a bad thing. Planning is important. It gives us direction and structure. But here's where the problem lies. Planning becomes the enemy when it replaces action. We spend so much time planning, so much time getting everything perfect, that we forget the one thing that actually leads to progress: taking action. You've probably heard it before: take small steps and you'll get there. It sounds simple, almost too simple, but the truth is, small steps are the secret to success. It's easy to think you need to have everything figured out before you begin. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that if you don't have a perfect plan, you might fail. But let me tell you something that will change your whole perspective. You don't need to have it all figured out to start. The problem with endless planning is that it creates a false sense of progress. You tell yourself, I'm getting ready, I'm preparing. But here's the reality. Preparing is not the same as doing. You can plan until you're blue in the face, but without action, you're not moving forward. The moment you start taking small steps is the moment you start moving closer to your goal. And each of those small steps adds up, inch by inch, until you're exactly where you want to be. Now, I'm not saying planning is useless. Absolutely not. Planning has its place. It helps us set a clear path, identify potential obstacles, and give us the tools we need. But planning without action is just a dream. You can plan for years, but it won't get you any closer to your destination unless you start walking. Small, consistent steps, no matter how tiny they seem, are what will eventually lead to big results. Think about it for a second. If you were to take just one small action every single day, no matter how insignificant it seemed at the time, where would you be in a month, in a year, in 5 years? The key is consistency. Small steps done regularly will take you farther than grand plans that never get executed. And here's the thing, small steps don't have to be big or scary, they just have to be steps. They just have to be forward motion. You don't have to do everything all at once. You don't have to have the perfect strategy or plan in place, but you do have to start. Let's break this down even further. How many of us have sat down, created detailed plans, and then never acted on them? How many times have you put something off because you didn't feel like you were fully prepared? We get stuck in this cycle of thinking that we need more time, more information, or more resources. But waiting for the perfect moment is a trap. You might wait forever, and you'll never make any progress. The real progress happens when you stop waiting and start doing. When you take that first step, even if you don't know where it will lead. That's how you build momentum. That's how you get to where you want to be. I'll tell you this, action, even in its smallest form, will always outpace planning in the long run. The moment you decide to do something, the moment you decide to take that small step forward, you're already ahead of the person still stuck in the planning stage. Action teaches you things that planning never could. It shows you what works, what doesn't, and what needs to change. Action leads to real-world experience, and experience is the best teacher. Here's another truth: perfection is an illusion. Waiting for everything to be perfect before you take action is a surefire way to get stuck. You don't need everything to be in place. You don't need to know exactly how it will all work out. You just need to take action. The more you do, the more you learn, and the more you figure things out along the way. The best entrepreneurs, the best leaders, they didn't sit around waiting for the perfect plan. They started, even when they didn't know exactly what they were doing. They figured it out as they went. What happens when you take those small steps? You build confidence. You start to see results. Action makes you feel alive. It propels you forward. The more you act, the more you realize that it's not the big grand steps that lead to success. It's the small, consistent ones. The ones that add up over time, and those small steps turn into big momentum. And before you know it, you've gone farther than you ever thought possible. Let's be real for a second. No one knows it all. Everyone starts somewhere. But the difference between those who succeed and those who don't isn't always about talent or skill. It's about the ability to take that first step, even when you don't have all the answers. The ones who succeed are the ones who keep taking action, even when things aren't perfect. They keep learning, keep growing, and keep moving forward, step by step, day by day. And here's the best part. When you start taking small steps, you build a habit. And that habit, that daily action, becomes your foundation for success. It's not about making one giant leap. It's about taking those small, seemingly insignificant actions that, over time, will transform your life. The key is to stop thinking you need to have it all figured out. You don't need to wait for the perfect plan, just start. And as you continue to take action, you'll gain clarity. You'll gain insight into what's working and what's not. You'll start to see patterns, and you'll be able to adjust and improve. But none of that happens if you're still stuck in the planning phase. You can plan all day long, but without action, you're not going anywhere. Small steps beat endless planning every single time. It's about making progress, even if it feels small at first. It's about taking that first step, and then the next, and then the next. And before you know it, you'll look back and realize just how far you've come. So stop planning, stop waiting, and start doing. Take those small steps and watch how they lead you to big results. Number 8, the first step is the hardest. After that, it gets easier. You know that feeling when you're standing at the edge, looking at something big? Something that's going to take effort? Something that's going to require you to break through a wall? That moment, right before you take that first step, it's scary, right? You're not sure if you're going to make it. You're not sure if you're ready. And you don't know if it's all going to work out. That moment, that split second before you decide to move, is often the hardest part of the journey. But I want you to hear this loud and clear. The first step is always the hardest. Once you take it, everything changes. And this is where most people get stuck. They get so paralyzed by fear, doubt, and uncertainty that they don't even take that first step. And I get it. It's easier to stay in the comfort of where you are. It's easier to stay stuck in the planning phase, in the dreaming phase, in the thinking about it phase. But nothing ever happens in those phases. Nothing changes unless you take that first step, no matter how small it might seem. What you need to understand is that this is normal. Everyone feels this way. Every single person who has ever achieved anything meaningful has had that same exact feeling of fear before they started. Think about any big accomplishment in your life, whether it's something small or something grand. That first step is always uncomfortable, always uncertain, but you need to get comfortable with that discomfort because it's part of the process. The first step is the hardest, but here's the beautiful thing. After that, it gets easier. It's like stepping into a new world. The first step is the most uncertain, but once you take it, you begin to build momentum. The fear doesn't go away, but it starts to lose its power over you. Every step after that gets a little bit easier. Why? Because you've already broken through the hardest part. You've made the decision to move. And that decision fuels your progress. Let's break this down. How many times have you started something and felt like you were about to drown in the overwhelming unknown? Maybe you've started a new project, a new job, or tried something new, and in the beginning you felt completely out of your depth. But as time went on, you started to feel more comfortable, didn't you? The more you did, the more you learned, the easier it became, And now, looking back, that first step seems almost silly, doesn't it? You can hardly remember why you were ever so scared to begin with. That's the power of action. Once you take that first step, your brain starts to work for you. It starts to adjust. It starts to adapt. And with each step, it gets more familiar. You learn, you grow, you get stronger with every move you make. The second step is easier than the first. The third is easier than the second. And before you know it, what once felt impossible feels almost natural. This doesn't just apply to the small stuff. Even the biggest, most life-changing decisions follow this same pattern. Think about people who have made huge changes in their lives. The first step is always the hardest, but once they take it, they start to gain confidence. They start to see that the things they were afraid of weren't as big as they thought. Taking that first step is the breakthrough moment. You've probably heard the phrase, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. It's cliche, but it's true. The longer you wait to take that first step, the longer you're going to stay exactly where you are. The fear, the doubt, the uncertainty, they'll always be there to some degree, but you need to push through them, because on the other side of that first step is growth, progress, and an entirely new level of confidence. So why do we fear that first step? Why is it so difficult? I think it's because we're afraid of the unknown. We don't know what will happen next, and that's scary. The first step forces us to move into a space where we have no control, no certainty. And let me tell you something, control is an illusion. Life doesn't give us perfect conditions. It doesn't give us a guaranteed outcome. If you wait until you feel ready, you're going to be waiting forever. Greatness doesn't come from waiting for the perfect moment. It comes from stepping into the unknown, not knowing what's next, but trusting that you'll figure it out. Once you understand that, it changes everything. You stop fearing the first step, and you realize that the only way to get what you want is to start, even if you're not sure exactly where you're going. Action is the antidote to fear. The more action you take, the less fear will have a grip on you. The first step is the hardest, but once you make it, you realize that the fear wasn't as big as you thought. The unknown isn't as scary as it seems when you begin to move through it. The first step also builds momentum, and momentum is powerful. It's like a snowball rolling down a hill. It gets bigger, faster, and easier as it goes. When you take that first step, you're not just moving toward your goal, you're building the confidence to keep moving even when things get tough. And I'm telling you, there's nothing more powerful than that. The more you take action, the more you prove to yourself that you can handle whatever comes your way. Here's the thing, when you keep putting off that first step, you're just prolonging the discomfort. You're keeping yourself stuck in that state of fear and indecision. The longer you wait, the longer you stay in that uncomfortable, stuck place. But once you take that first step, even if it's small, you open up a world of possibilities. You unlock new opportunities. You start to see things you never would have seen if you stayed where you were. So the next time you find yourself hesitating, remember this. The first step is the hardest, but it's the most important one. Don't let fear control you. Don't let uncertainty keep you stuck. The moment you decide to take that step, you start changing your life. Don't wait for the perfect time or the perfect circumstances. Just take the first step and everything else will follow. Trust me, once you do, it'll get easier and you'll be amazed at what you can achieve. Number 9, every beginner feels unprepared. That's normal. Starting something new is a challenge. You can feel it in your gut, right? The nervous energy, the second guessing, the nagging thought that you're not really prepared, and maybe you never will be. It's all part of the process. If you've ever started something fresh, whether it's a new job, a new project, or a new skill, you've probably felt like you're standing at the edge, peering into the unknown, unsure of what to do next. The truth is, every beginner feels unprepared. That's not just a few of us, it's every single one of us who ever took that leap. So when you're sitting there feeling unsure, feeling like you don't have all the answers, guess what? You're exactly where you need to be. That's normal. In fact, the feeling of being unprepared is a sign that you're on the right track. It's a sign that you're pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, reaching beyond what you already know and stepping into new territory. Because if you wait for the perfect moment, the perfect conditions, or the perfect level of preparation, you'll never get started. The best time to start is always right now. And while it's totally okay to feel unprepared, it's important to realize that being unprepared doesn't mean you're not capable. Think about this for a second. When you learned how to walk, did you have it all figured out? Of course not. You stumbled, fell, got up again, and kept going. You didn't have the perfect technique. You didn't know exactly how to balance yourself, but you kept moving. You learned as you went. That's how every success story starts. It's no different now. Whatever new challenge you're facing, whether it's business, fitness, learning a new language, or taking on a new role, you don't have to have it all figured out from the start. You just need to start. The answers, the solutions, the skills you need will all come in time. But they won't come unless you take that first step. One of the biggest mistakes people make is waiting for the right time to get started. But here's the truth. There is no right time. There is no perfect moment. Life doesn't work like that. You're not going to wake up one day with all the answers and the perfect set of tools to succeed. The skills you need, the knowledge you crave, the experience you're missing. It all comes through doing. You don't learn to ride a bike by reading books about it or watching YouTube videos. You don't learn to cook by watching someone else do it. You have to get your hands dirty, jump in, and figure it out as you go. Every beginner feels unprepared, and that's okay, because the only way to learn is by doing. Think back to a time when you were first starting something. Maybe it was your first job, your first car, or your first experience leading a team. When you look back, do you remember how nervous and unsure you felt? Probably. But think about how much you learned, how much you grew through that process. You had to make mistakes to get better, and that's a huge part of the learning process. There's no shame in not knowing everything at first. You're going to make mistakes, and that's okay. It's part of the game. You're not supposed to know everything. That's why you're learning. And every mistake you make gets you closer to the person you want to be. So instead of fearing the unknown, embrace it. The unknown is your best teacher. Now, I know it's easy to feel overwhelmed when you're starting something new. Maybe you look around and see others who seem more prepared, more skilled, more confident. It's easy to feel like everyone else has it figured out, and you're the only one who's struggling. But let me tell you this, everyone feels unprepared at the beginning. It's just that some people hide it better than others. Some people have learned to act despite their fear, their uncertainty, and their lack of preparation. But inside, they're just like you. They've had moments of doubt, moments where they didn't think they were good enough, moments where they wanted to give up, but they kept going. And that's what made the difference. It's okay to feel overwhelmed. It's okay to feel like you're not sure what you're doing, but you cannot let that stop you. If you let that feeling of being unprepared hold you back, you'll never move forward. Think about it. If you're waiting for perfection, you're missing the point. The point is to start, to take action, to learn, to grow, and to adapt. Perfection is an illusion. The only way to improve is by doing. You have to get out there, make mistakes, and figure it out as you go. And with each mistake, you'll get better. And let's talk about failure for a moment, because that's often the thing that holds us back when we feel unprepared. We're afraid of failing. We're afraid of making mistakes, of looking foolish, of not living up to expectations. But let me tell you something important. Failure is not the enemy. Failure is just feedback. It's a signal that you're on the right path. If you're not failing, you're probably not trying hard enough. Every successful person has failed over and over again, and that's what makes them successful, because they didn't let failure stop them. They used it to learn and grow. If you're feeling unprepared, you're in good company. It means you're growing, you're stretching beyond your comfort zone, and you're on the path to success. But here's the secret. Don't wait until you feel prepared. You'll never feel fully ready. You'll never feel like you know everything you need to know. But you do know enough to take the first step, and that's all you need right now. Just take that first step, and everything else will fall into place. As you move forward, you'll start to see progress. Little by little, you'll gain more confidence, more knowledge, and more experience. The more you do, the more you'll realize that you were never really unprepared. You were just in the beginning phase. And that's the phase where the most growth happens. Every expert was once a beginner. Every success story was once a dream. And every time you feel unprepared, remember this: it's just the beginning of something amazing. So the next time you find yourself thinking you're not ready, remember this: you are exactly where you need to be. Every beginner feels unprepared, and that's normal. What matters is that you start. Because the moment you do, you begin to transform from someone who's unsure into someone who's capable. And that, my friend, is where the magic happens. Number 10, your future self is counting on you to start today. There's a voice inside you, a whisper you may not always hear, but it's always there waiting for you to listen. It's the voice of your future self, and right now it's counting on you. It's counting on you to start today, to make the move, to take that first step, no matter how small. Why? Because your future self knows something you might not realize yet. Your future self knows that every moment you hesitate, every second you spend waiting for the right time, is a moment that slips away, a moment that could have been used to build the future you dream of. Your future self is relying on the decisions you make today to shape a better tomorrow. When we think about the future, we often imagine it as something distant, something far away. We think we have all the time in the world, and yet every day time passes by, and every moment you wait is a moment your future self is pleading with you to use wisely. Imagine for a second that you are having a conversation with the person you're going to be 5, 10, or 20 years from now. That future version of you would probably look back and say, "Why did you wait so long? Why didn't you start sooner?" The truth is, the future isn't something that's coming, it's already being shaped by the choices you make right now. So let's get this straight. Your future isn't something that's out of your control. Your future is in your hands right now. The person you want to become, the successful, confident, accomplished individual, is already in you. The seeds of that future self are planted within you today. Every action you take now, no matter how small, is a step toward that future version of yourself. It doesn't matter if the path ahead is unclear or if you feel uncertain about the next step. What matters is that you take action. What matters is that you don't wait for everything to be perfect. Every time you put off starting something, whether it's working on your goals, your health, or your relationships, you're pushing your future self further away. You're telling the person you want to be, not yet. But think about it. What if today is the day that changes everything? What if today is the moment that starts the journey toward the life you've always dreamed of? Your future self is counting on you to recognize that the most important time to start is always right now. When you don't take action, you're not just delaying your progress, you're holding back your future. You're building a barrier between who you are now and who you could be. Every delay, every excuse, every moment of fear keeps you from becoming the person you want to become. And I'm sure you've heard this before, the only way to make progress is to move forward, even if it's one tiny step at a time. There's a misconception that you need to wait for the perfect time to take action. People often think that they'll start tomorrow or next week or once they have more money or when they feel more prepared. But here's the thing, the perfect moment never comes. If you're waiting for things to be ideal, you'll wait forever. Life doesn't wait for perfect conditions, it moves on, whether you're ready or not. The time is now. Your future self knows that you are capable of so much more than you give yourself credit for. The truth is, you don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to know exactly how everything will work out. What you need is the courage to take that first step. Even when the path isn't fully clear, the confidence to keep going even when it feels hard. Because your future self isn't concerned with perfection. Your future self is proud of your progress, of the fact that you kept moving, even when the odds seemed against you. I want you to imagine something for a moment. Picture yourself a year from now. Picture all the things you could have accomplished if you started today. Now, imagine the opposite. Imagine a year from now, still stuck in the same place, still waiting for that perfect moment. How would that feel? How would you feel looking back, knowing that you missed an entire year of progress because you hesitated? Your future self doesn't want that. Your future self wants you to start right now with the resources you have, with the knowledge you have, even if it's not perfect. Because progress, no matter how small, is still progress. I know it's easy to let fear or uncertainty stop you. I know it's easy to think that you're not ready or that you don't have everything in place. But think about this. Every successful person started with uncertainty. Every successful person started with fear. The difference is they chose to act despite it. They didn't wait until they were 100% ready. They didn't wait until everything aligned perfectly. They started with what they had and they made it work. And every day they took action, they got closer to the person they wanted to be. I want you to understand something very important. You are already capable of achieving your goals. You might not know exactly how yet, but the potential is within you. And the only way to unlock that potential is to start. Even if you're not sure where to begin, just take one step. Whether it's writing down your goals, making a phone call, or doing something that scares you, just start. Starting is the most important part. Once you begin, you'll gain clarity. The path will start to open up and opportunities will begin to present themselves. Remember, your future self is counting on you. The person you dream of becoming is out there, waiting for you to take action. Your future self believes in you. Your future self knows you're capable. It's up to you to trust in yourself, to trust that you have what it takes, and to start today. Don't let another day slip away. Don't wait for tomorrow. Don't wait for everything to line up perfectly. The time is now. Your future self is cheering you on. It's waiting for you to realize that everything you want is already within your reach. But it starts with one thing: action. Take that first step. Start today. Your future self is counting on you, and trust me, you'll thank yourself for it. So here's the truth. If you wait until you feel ready, you'll be waiting forever. Growth doesn't happen in comfort. Success doesn't come to those who stand still. It comes to those who move, even when they're unsure, even when they're afraid. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to start. And every step you take will make you stronger, smarter, and more prepared than before. So stop waiting. Stop doubting. Take the first step, then another, and another. Because the only way to get ready is to start before you feel ready. Now go. Do it. Your future is waiting.